Did you ever go to a movie and walk out of it and about 2 hours later you're still thinking about it? Well, I have, and I've seen many movies. And what that means to me is that I get something out of the movie. It teaches me something. It reminds me of my something in my life, or it's just an amazing story that I just can't seem to get it out of my head. Well, this happened to me yesterday. I've seen many movies, but this one in particular, my sister and I went to see the movie Wonder. I knew what it was about, and I wanted to see it. I had no idea how it would affect me. I didn't know the exact story. Obviously, who goes to a movie to know what it's about before you go? But let me tell you something about it. To begin with, I am so excited and proud of our industry today that they're making movies related to disabilities, both on television and in the movies. Now, Wonder is about a young boy who was disabled, physically disabled, and he lived most of his life in the comforts of his own family. And he needed to go out into the world and then to go to middle school. What he learned in middle school changed his life, but most importantly is what the people learned from him that changed their life. That is what I want to emphasize on my story today. My name is Judy Quate. You can call me Judy. I am an artist. I am a Zentangle certified teacher, and I am a storyteller. What do I talk about? I talk about my life, my experiences, and what I went through to survive for 67 years. I see movies and I see TV regarded and having to do with disabled people because I had a child who was disabled. He was, his name was Jason. He was severely disabled. He was diagnosed to have spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy. So he was physically and mentally disabled only because he was so physically disabled, but he knew what was going on in life. My point of talking to you today is because of the movie that I saw yesterday and how it related to my story with my son Jason. And I will point it out in my story and how we would take Jason to the mall when he was younger in his wheelchair, and he was spastic, so he would be tight and he would make loud noises and he would smile all the time, but he didn't do it in a normal way. His spasticity in his mouth made it look awkward, not to us but to people who didn't know him. So what would happen? People would walk around us. Parents would grab their children's hands and take them away from where Jason was so that they won't catch what Jason had. That's what Jason and I had to live through, and my husband and Jason's brother. It wasn't easy. So getting back to this movie yesterday, it's not so much about the life of this darling disabled child, but how he made everyone around him change because of him. Individually, his mother and his father and his sister learned a lesson through him. The kids in his classroom learned a lesson through him. That's what happened to my son Jason. People who knew my son are better people now. People who taught my son are better teachers now. People who took care of my son hopefully are better people now because they know and knew Jason. Just let me tell you a short story, and I don't want to keep you long, but I can go on forever, but I need to stop myself. But I'm going to keep on talking over and over again to you all about my story because it needs to be told. But I want to tell you a little story, and I'll do it as fast as I can because I don't want to bore you. But when Jason was very little, I had to make an appointment at Easter Seals for him to have physical therapy. He was about less than 5 years old. He was still in early intervention program. So I had to describe Jason to the physical therapist on the phone. Apparently she was just out of school and this was her first job. So I'm describing Jason as being spastic, quadriplegic, cerebral palsy. He can't talk, he can't walk, and he's spastic, and he makes loud sounds, and everything I can to describe Jason. Well, little did I know how that affected her on the phone. So we go to the appointment, and Jason, I introduced Jason to this woman, this young girl, and I took Jason out of his wheelchair, and we carried him into the room, and I put him down on the mat on the floor, and I left, and they waited until they were done. I didn't watch. I went out to the lobby. And after they were done, I was putting Jason back in the wheelchair, ready to go home, putting his coat on. And the young girl, a therapist, came up to me and said, "I need to tell you something, Mrs. Quate. I have to be very honest with you because it's important to me to be honest. When you described Jason to me, and me being so new to this field, I was so scared. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how I can help him. I didn't know what he was going to do, if he was going to cry the whole time. I was just scared. But let me tell you, Mrs. Quate, that I feel just the opposite just after I had the opportunity to meet your son. As soon as I picked him up, he looked at me and he gave me a smile. Well, that just made my day. And I gently moved his arms, and I gently touched him and moved him slowly so he wouldn't be scared. And he just let me do everything I needed to do. He didn't cry. He just continued to smile at me. Well, that was Jason. Jason, the only thing he knew what to do was smile. It was the only thing he could do. He learned when he was a young, this is what I told her, as early as 1 year old, he learned that if he smiled at someone, he would get attention. Well, Jason wanted attention, so he kept on smiling. The more he smiled, the more attention he got. That was Jason. And when I walked out that time, and I put Jason in the car, and I drove home with Jason, I said, "Jason, you just made that woman's life happier. Thank you, sweetheart. Just keep on doing what you're doing because you're going to have a wonderful life. You know what you're doing." So let me end. Thank you so much for listening to that story to begin with. But let me end by telling you that about me a little bit. Through the years, I went through a lot of hardship, a lot of daily frustrations, and putting up with the red tape, with politics, and funding issues, and so much, that the way I dealt with it is by creating art. I didn't go to school. I just started knitting, crocheting, needlepoint, scrapbooking, and then I learned how to do mixed media art. And now, and just this April, I became a certified certified Zentangle Teacher. So I decided when I retired back in 2010, I had to give it back to the world. So I decided to get certified as a teacher so I can show people who are living very tough lives, making either they're a caregiver or they're mentally disabled, or they're just having a very tough life in their job, very stressful. Teach them how art can heal your heart. That's what it did to me. Art for me healed my heart. I want to do that for you. If you live in the Philadelphia area or the suburbs, I'm out in the suburbs in Bucks County, contact my website. I can teach you how to do Zentangles. I will be happy to go to your home with your friends. Whoever hosts a Zentangle party, it will be free for them, and we would have a good night and a very relaxing night. And I'll teach you how to do the most fantastic art form, the most Zen-like art form, and it'll take you out of your mentality and into a new world of creating lines and circles and dots to make tangles, and the tangles together make beautiful designs. You don't have to be an artist, you just have to want to do it. Thank you so much for listening to me. Again, my name is Judy Quate. My company is Scrapperjudedesigns, and you can find my website on www.Scrapperjudedesigns. Thank you. Bye.